Next on Currents News, Pope Francis is accepting the resignation of a Los Angeles auxiliary bishop. The cleric is facing allegations of misconduct with a minor. U.S. ground troops are pulling out of Syria. The president ordering the withdrawal because ISIS is defeated. A Catholic woman from the Brooklyn Diocese is putting her faith into action. She's heading to the border with Mexico. Plus, Catholic Charities and the true meaning of Christmas, what they're doing for children in Brooklyn and Queens. The news starts right now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Faublas. Tonight, Pope Francis has accepted the resignation of Bishop Alexander Salazar from the office of Auxiliary Bishop of the Los Angeles Archdiocese. He's facing an allegation of misconduct with a minor about 2 decades ago. News of the resignation broke this morning when the Holy Father's U.S. ambassador, Archbishop Christophe Pierre, made the announcement in Washington. Then Los Angeles Archbishop Jose Gomez released a letter to the people of his archdiocese, America's largest. He wrote, "I am grateful for the Holy Father's loving concern for the family of God here in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. These decisions have been made out of deep concern for the healing and reconciliation of abuse victims and for the good of the Church's mission. Let us continue to stay close to victims, survivors of abuse through our prayers and actions." Bishop Salazar, seen here at a celebration for Our Lady of Guadalupe in 2009, is accused of misconduct with a minor that allegedly occurred in the 1990s. The accusation became known to the Archdiocese in 2005. The church said authorities were informed directly in 2002, but prosecutors declined to bring charges. The matter was turned over to Los Angeles Church's Independent Clergy Review Board, which found the allegations credible and recommended Salazar not be allowed to practice public ministry. Bishop Salazar has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. The Vatican did not provide an explanation for the resignation in its one-line statement this morning. The Los Angeles Archdiocese says it has not received any other accusations of misconduct against Bishop Salazar. President Trump is ordering a full withdrawal of U.S. ground troops from Syria. The decision is controversial. Camila Bernal reports the latest from Washington.
The Department of Defense announced it has started the process to remove all U.S. troops from Syria. On Capitol Hill, some are applauding the move.
For the first time in my lifetime, we have a president with the courage to declare victory and bring the troops home.
Others are concerned ISIS is not yet fully defeated.
The decision to withdraw an American presence in Syria is a colossal, in my mind, mistake, a grave error that's going to have significant repercussions in the years and months to come.
I have not found one person, national security-wise, who believes it's a good idea to remove the 2,200 troops.
It's also unclear what the Russian and Iranian-backed forces will do, a worry for some Republicans.
Now that the U.S. is going to withdraw from Syria, we have basically turned the country over to Russia and to an even greater extent Iran.
It's that fear of an unchecked Iran which has Israel worried, as the two have periodically sparred. The U.S. will keep troops in Iraq with the capability of launching strikes into Syria. But despite President Trump's tweet that ISIS is defeated, a Defense Department Inspector General report says the number of ISIS members in Syria and Iraq could be as high as 30,000. Camila Bernal, Currents News.
A Catholic hospital in Syria is one of the few left standing because of the war. The Italian hospital is open in Damascus, ready to treat all wounded Syrians. Sean Richardson has that report.
This nun and this doctor run one of the few hospitals still open in Syria. This is the Italian hospital in Damascus. Here, thanks to a campaign supported by the Pope, they serve thousands of poor people for free.
We have always done this work with a humanitarian touch. We are not selective. We welcome all the sick, especially during these difficult times.
Since the beginning of the Open Hospitals program in 2017, 16,500 patients have passed through its clinics and operating rooms. By 2020, they expect to reach 45,000 patients. The Syrian population is 95% Muslim, and so usually they receive Muslim patients.
As soon as they enter, they see the nuns at the gate and ask, "Can we enter?" Of course. We welcome them with affection. If we see that the person's illness is serious, the nuns try to help to alleviate the pain and suffering. In recent times, they have come from war zones. The patients here find that we open first our hearts, then our doors.
When we heal the wounded and tell them that they should pay nothing, they kiss the hands of the nuns and doctors to thank them for staying in Syria. They tell us that without us they would be dead. The Open Hospitals program in Syria was launched by the Pope's nuncio in Damascus, Mario Zanari. It is funded by Catholic organizations in several countries. The economic aid has made it possible to buy sanitary machinery and medicines. It has also enabled them to be able to repair electricity heating and to teach doctors medical research from Europe. Above all, it has given hope to thousands of people in the midst of war in Syria. In Rome, Sean Richardson, Currents News.
And stay tuned. In a few moments, I'll have a dramatic conversation with Sister Annie Demergian. She's an eyewitness to the horrors of the Syrian war. That's still ahead in this newscast. Tonight, your costs are going up. If you have a credit card, own a home, or have a car loan, the Fed is raising interest rates. Karen Kafa reports the decision will affect all types of borrowing.
The Federal Reserve raising interest rates for the fourth time this year, but acknowledging what Fed Chairman Jerome Powell called recent cross currents in their outlook.
Despite this robust economic backdrop and our expectation for healthy growth, we have seen developments that may signal some softening relative to what we were expecting a few months ago.
The Fed lifted their key interest rate to a range between 2.25 and 2.5%, ignoring President Trump's public calls to keep rates steady. The president has said the rate increases undercut his efforts to boost the economy. He tweeted this week that the independent Fed should not make yet another mistake. The White House defended that warning Tuesday.
He's been very clear about what his position is, while at the same time he understands that the Fed is an independent agency. That doesn't take away the president's right to state his opinion on a particular matter.
Powell said the Fed remains focused on policy and keeping an eye on how any global headwinds might impact the U.S. and not any politics.
Political considerations play no role whatsoever in our discussions or decisions about monetary policy.
The U.S. economy has sent mixed signals lately. Low unemployment, relatively strong overall growth amid global trade tensions and a turbulent stock market. The markets were not keen on the Fed indicating more rate hikes to come in 2019. The Dow took a triple-digit drop after the news. In Washington, Karen Kafa, Currents News.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has introduced a spending bill to temporarily fund the government, effectively avoiding a partial government shutdown. If the short-term measure is approved by Congress, as expected, it will head to President Trump's desk, who backed off his demand for money for a border wall with Mexico. The stopgap runs through February 8th. The Catholic-backed overhaul of the U.S. criminal justice system has passed the Senate. The First Step Act looks to reduce the number of people in the nation's crowded prisons by easing sentences for nonviolent offenders, and it will also allow thousands of federal inmates to leave jail early. The House is expected to approve, and the president said he'll sign it. A new decision could have many children separated from their families at the Mexican border home in time for Christmas. The Department of Health and Human Services is reversing its controversial and lengthy fingerprint policy of all adults associated with the youngsters. Now, only the main sponsor needs to be printed. Up to 3,000 kids could be released by the end of the year. A Catholic woman from Queens is putting her faith into action. She's heading to the U.S.-Mexico border, bringing along a lot of hope. Currents News' Tim Harfman shares her story.
Crayons and coloring books, items that might bring hope to young migrants after a long journey.
We don't know what all of these people have gone through up to this point.
Melissa Gibolero is packing this box and heading to the U.S.-Mexico border to help migrants who fled their homelands in search of better lives.
People just want security and want a way to provide opportunities for their families.
Starting December 27th, she'll spend 2 weeks volunteering with Catholic Charities in McAllen, Texas, about 10 miles from the border. There, she'll work with other volunteers at a respite center, a temporary shelter supplying asylum seekers with food, clothing, and a place to shower. Hundreds of detained men, women, and children arrive at the McAllen bus station every day. carrying their personal belongings in plastic bags.
Hello, Sisters of Charity, Melissa speaking.
Melissa wants to acknowledge their dignity.
I'm really hoping that we are providing that first real sign of welcome for them, helping them to get to their next destination, and just being a kind face for them along this journey.
Melissa works with the Sisters of Charity Halifax at the Order's office in Regal Park, Queens, and wants to put her Catholic faith into action.
Our faith teaches us to have hope, to be signs of hope. If we can give and restore a little bit of that to the people that we encounter, then I think we've done what we can in that moment.
A sense of hope and cheer to begin the new year. In Regal Park, Queens, Tim Harfman, Currents News.
A farewell address today from outgoing Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, talking to members both new and old.
This place is full of wonders and opportunity, but do your best to stay grounded. The way I think of it is either you change things or things change you. So you have to keep your sense of self. You got to work hard around here at staying who you are. Insist on it. It's what I've been praying about literally every morning since I first came here, to keep my sense of self.
Democrats are expected to choose Nancy Pelosi as Speaker when they take majority control of the House in January. There's a lot more news headed your way. An exclusive interview about the virtual extermination of Christianity in Aleppo, Syria, as seen through the eyes of a nun who experienced the atrocities firsthand. And the Catholic Charities toy drive that is about more than just gifts. Businesses, parishes, and schools throughout the Brooklyn Diocese share the Christmas spirit with families in need. Do you have a story idea, something happening in your parish we should know about? We want to hear from you. Keep this email handy, newstips@thesalesmedia.org. We'll be right back. Sister Annie Demerjian has seen a lifetime of suffering in Aleppo, Syria over the past 7 years. Now, as conflict is beginning to die down, her ministry is no longer about getting emergency supplies to those in need. As buildings collapsed and food, water, and electricity were scarce, the current challenge is to help people begin to rebuild their lives. And Sister Annie joins us now. Sister, thank you so much for being with us. You have said that you used to live each day, minute by minute, never knowing when bombs were going to fall or who would die next. And I can't imagine that. But now you're spending time, you're reopening garment factories, you're helping people find jobs and develop skills. Can Aleppo, which is like ground zero, seriously be rebuilt?
It's a big question, because when we think about, okay, the war starts finishing, but we need to work on two levels. The building of soul and heart, and that is the most difficult things, and rebuilding the houses. Okay, when you have the help, it's easy to rebuild. Okay. But to rebuild the heart, the wounded heart, it will take a long time.
I don't want to lose sight of the fact, Sister, that the death toll from this war is absolutely staggering. It's mind-boggling. Earlier this year, the British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that at least 511,000 people had been killed since the fighting began in Syria in 2011. And I want us all to wrap our brains around that. Of those who remain, how many more need humanitarian assistance?
I think all of us, we need that in different ways. Because the many factories, if I will speak about Aleppo, many factories destroyed, more than 200 factories. So that left thousands of people without work. Many companies ask their employees to leave. They don't have enough to pay. So you find a good number of people without job, so without income. And those also who work, what they gain, it's very little to help them to live the whole month. So it's very important, at least this period of time, for aid help, because it must be goes with two parts. helping them to stand and live in their dignity, at the same time to help them to find job and start again.
I can't let you go, sister, without asking you this question. Obviously, there are generations that are in Aleppo that knew life prior to these tragic circumstances. What about the children who know nothing more than this violent destruction? At least 3 million were born during the war. How do we help the children?
Now, many organizations, many churches are opening centers or occasion to help children to come and try to, go back to their childhood. They miss the toys, they miss to play, they miss their innocent childhood. And that's very important. Like in Aleppo, a congregation opened a center, healing through painting and music. Other organizations, they are trying to do a lot of activities to start helping the children.
Sister, for many, and really quickly, Aleppo is a world away, but how do we help? There must be ways that we here in Brooklyn can help the situation in Aleppo.
First, prayer is very important. Second, I pray for the leaders in the world that the Lord will lighten their minds and give them the wisdom, because the sanction which is imposed on Syria, it's the only who's suffering is the people who's suffering. So I ask that the leaders will take this in consideration and to remove this sanction on Syria.
On a more personal note, when the fighting first broke out, you and your 4 other sisters were told to leave, and you chose to stay, saying that you've lived there in good times and in bad, which is what we discussed. Looking back, was that the right decision for you? Would it have been the right decision if you had to give your life for this?
Actually, we were 7 sisters, 2 from British and 5 Syrian. And all of us receive a message from our provincial saying we are free if we want to leave. We had meeting, I remember, in that time, and our sisters from British said, Syria is my country, I can't leave it. I lived years here. And that's, it's make me feel touched by this deep way,
Yes.
And all of us said, no, it's our country. This is the time we must be with our people. And I think, yes, it's a very good decision, because it's a very painful experience. We lost, personally, I lost many good friends to me during the war. When you think that you make little children smiling and happy, old people relaxing.
Yes.
You say, I touch the goal.
Sister, I am in awe of your faith, and I am so thankful for your service. Thank you for being here and having this conversation with me.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. This morning at his final general audience before Christmas, Pope Francis invited all Christians to prepare for the season by contemplating its meaning in silence.
Natale è preferire la voce silenziosa di Dio ai frastuoni del consumismo. Questo è l'invito per Natale. Prenditi un po' di tempo. Vai davanti al presepe. Stai in silenzio.
The Holy Father added that we should accept the continuous change of plans that God puts in our way, just like Mary and Joseph did. Catholic Charities of Brooklyn and Queens is spreading Christmas cheer across the boroughs, giving out toys for children. Currents News' Emily Druby has the story.
Valerie Ferguson is out of work this Christmas.
Financially, I'm strapped, but God is good and we're able to be blessed. So I came to take advantage.
Ferguson, just one of many who attended Catholic Charities Brooklyn and Queens toy drive on Wednesday. The unique event gave parents and grandparents the chance to pick out an item for each of their children or grandchildren.
I think it's much more meaningful that a parent picks out the gift for their child than us picking out a gift. They know their child and they know what their child likes and what their child has.
Ferguson, who picked out toys for 4 of her 6 grandchildren, explains events like this restore her faith in humanity.
America is starting to lose compassion, for others. So when you find stuff like this, it lets you know that somebody is thinking about us.
After a recipient's name was called,
Number 82!
Volunteers who acted as personal shopper elves helped to pick out that perfect gift.
They love being helped. They love the idea of shopping. They love that they're finding just sort of the perfect thing for their kids.
Recipients walked away with 1 toy per child and at least a $25 gift card donated by TD Bank. Toy donations came from local businesses, parishes, and schools throughout the Diocese of Brooklyn. Recipients said the event made their Christmas a little brighter.
It helped me a lot because I got my grandkids living with me, so it's pretty good. Because my queue is kind of empty, but thanks for the Catholic Charities, I'm here today. I'm getting my gifts.
A similar event will be held on Thursday in Queens. Available spots for that event have been filled. In Brooklyn, Emily Druby, Currents News.
Still to come on Currents News, it's one of George Herbert Walker Bush's best-kept secrets. I'll tell you about the act of love that helped one young man live a better life. And the Bright Christmas campaign needs your help tonight. It's a great initiative run by the Tablet newspaper, and donations make Christmas a more joyous time for children in need. Write your checks to Bright Christmas and send them to 1712 10th Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11215. That address is also posted on our website, netny.tv/shows/currentsnews. A now revealed secret about former President George H.W. Bush that will warm your heart. The former commander-in-chief secretly sponsored a young boy from the Philippines. 41 would send letters to 7-year-old Timothy under the pseudonym G. Walker. The president also funded the young boy's education, extracurricular activities, and his meals. Timothy didn't find out the truth about his pen pal until he graduated the program at 17, and he was shocked. That is Currents News. I'm Liz Faublas. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.